get hip to it, they change the demographic, then poison all youth, volatile reactions. Under the curses, traumatized. We swallow BS, but won't swallow pride. People reaching out for temporary comfort. It costs you nothing to tell someone you in need of something. Stand up for your brothers and your sisters too. Moses saw oppression, did what killers do. Lay down your life, but no man can save you. Disobedience is why they enslaved you. I just want us to remember, never forget where we come from. Came all the way from a whole nother state, another side, to come here and labor with y'all, man. Give all praises to the Father.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
United States of embarrassment, land of the free, home of the brave, land of the unjust, home to the slaves. Riding through Macomb, I wasn't feeling safe. All they know is color, all they see is race. Laying in the word, got the scripts open. When this kingdom goes, gotta stay focused. Until this kingdom come, I'ma give him praise. Spiritually out of bondage, not a slave. Circumcision of the heart, you and I. Had best to choose life, cause it's do or die. Shots fired, he had his hands up. We sat silent and didn't stand up. Blood on our hands, blood on the leaves. Knee on his neck, no, he couldn't breathe. We just put it on camera, yeah, we watched him die. We ain't do nothing, we ain't even try. Question, what would you have done? Would you retaliate? Would you run? Would you riot? Would you pray? Would you grab your gun? Spiritual warfare, nothing new under the sun. And he without sin cast the first stone. Tears stinging in my eyes, I can't leave it alone. 3 in the morning, getting no sleep. Another crew murdered by the police. We are the children of the grand design. Gird up your loins and pick up a sword. Slaughtered by the numbers, it was prophesied. So I'm fighting for my people, fighting for my Lord. Hey, we gotta keep the faith, gotta keep the laws. Written on our hearts, let them see his laws. You may lose your life in this race you won, but we are tried in the fires till kingdom come. Remember, not nobody else, just us. Remember what they did that brother, on the ground, knee on his neck, 8 minutes, crying for his mama. What if that was us? If that was your brother, that was your uncle, your cousin, your dad, you know what I'm saying? We can never forget that it's happening only to us because of what is written. Remember, y'all. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Give the brother another hand. Let us once again govern ourselves accordingly in preparation for the word of Yah Elohim. We are bilingual ministry. We are bilingual ministry. We teach in the language of our captivity, which is English. We also teach in the language of our origin, which is Paleo-Hebrew. I am Apostle Malachi P.L. Reynolds. I am Pastor General, Facilitator of the Lost Found Israelites Ministry, local assembly right here in Fort Worth, Texas. Our board of elders, who are all present here this morning: Chief Elder Scales, Executive Elder Timotheus, and Elder Darrell. Let's give them a hand. As well as our chartered members, Sister Lavora and Brother Larry, who's been with this ministry for about 10 years. Give them a hand. Everyone else, give yourself a hand for being here this morning. Out of your reverence for YAH'S commandment, which is to keep the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 covenant day in a public assembly according to the manual instructions written in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, the 3rd verse, as Brother Larry read earlier, and under foreign occupation or captivity, which Hamashiach kept the Shabbat under the occupation or captivity of the Romans. And it was written to give us an example that you can keep Shabbat under a pagan government. You can keep Shabbat. You can keep Torah. What is Torah? It's a set of instructions. Torah is a set of instructions. I like to be more specific. I like to be more specific. It's a set of instructions. And if you won't follow instructions that you can see written, you certainly won't follow the leading of the Ruach Kodesh that you can't see with your natural eyes. Hallelujah. I just said something very profound. If you can't follow scriptures that are written that you can see with your eyes, you certainly won't follow the instructions of the Ruach Kodesh that you can't see with your eyes. Hallelujah. This morning I'm going to continue the series. As you can see on the board to my left, the covenant series. Covenant series. And this is part 3 of the covenant series. We started off with the covenant in Genesis. In Genesis, when the Most High made a covenant with who? With what? His creation, right? Right? He made a covenant with his creation. Now the Hebrew word for covenant is what? Greek. The Greek. The Greek. Okay? So that was part 1. Part 1 was Elohim made a Greek with his creation. And part 2, we went from the Greek that he made with his creation to the Greek that he made with Noah. Right?
Yes.
And The covenant that Elohim made with his creation and humankind was a covenant of life. But mankind descended from the covenant of life to a covenant of wickedness, to a covenant of sin and death. When they partook from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which the Most High instructed Adam not to do, he did more than just disobey Elohim. He went into an agreement with his disobedience. And by his disobedience, sin and death descended upon all mankind. Because Paul said in the book of Romans, the 6th chapter, that whoever you yield yourself to, that is to whom you become a servant of. Yes, when you yield yourself to disobedience, you're making a covenant, because a covenant is an agreement. It's an agreement. You have a good aim with Elder? Yes. Okay. So we went from this covenant of life to the covenant of Noah. Now, the covenant, the grief that occurred with the creation in Adam was not different from the grief that he made with Noah. And if you was paying attention, I pointed that out, the similarities. The same thing that Elohim told Adam, he also told who? He told Noah. Y'all see that? He told Noah. Hallelujah. Dominique, come here. He told Adam to be fruitful around here. He told Adam to be fruitful and what? He told Noah to be what? Come on, y'all, speak up. He told Noah to be fruitful and multiply. Is that not similar? So the breach that was made with Adam and the creation was the same breach that he made with Noah. He just renewed it.
That's right.
He just renewed the covenant. So we're going to pick up in Genesis, the 12th chapter. Now, in Genesis, the 10th chapter, and the 11th chapter, we saw the results of the breaking of the covenant by Adam, where every imagination of the hearts of men was what? Wickedness. And the earth was filled with wickedness and violence. So the Most High said, I'm going to flood the earth because of the wickedness and the violence. So he made a covenant with Noah. And we read that When the flood came, everybody perished except Noah, his wife, his sons, and their wives. And it's through them that he repopulated the earth. And what was the sign of the covenant that he gave Noah? A rainbow. And I pointed out to you that nobody has the authority to take something holy and use it for an abominable lifestyle. And you know what I'm talking about, so we don't have to name it. Now, the covenant that Yah Elohim made with Noah, the Most High remained faithful, but we read that, we didn't read this, but mankind descended once again from the covenant when they made a statement by saying, let us come together and make for ourselves a name great. Let us come together and build this tower unto the heavens and make for ourselves a great name. And the Most High came down and he did not approve of what they was doing, for all mankind had been gathered together in one place, and he wanted them to what? Scatter. He wanted them to scatter abroad over the earth, right? So the Most High confused their languages, and he divided them up by what? Languages. Not by pigmentation. So if he divided them up by languages, that would imply that the Most High is the author of all languages.
Hebrews don't like that.
Yeah, hey, respect though. Respect.
Whether you like it or not, the Most High is the author even of the English language.
There you go. Hallelujah.
So mankind once again descended from the covenant of life to a covenant of death. So the Most High once again has to renew the covenant. See, the Hebrew concept of new is to renew. It's not like we think of new, whereas we say, I want a new car, so we do away with the old car and we go and buy a new car. Well, that's not the concept of new when it comes to the Hebrew concept. The Most High simply wants to renew that which already exists.
Right.
Okay.
Let's go to Genesis, the 12th chapter, the 1st through the 7th verses. I just wanted to give everyone a background and a brief review, because we're going from, this is part 3 of the covenant series. Genesis, the 12th chapter, the 1st through the 7th verses. Read.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 12, start at verse 1. Now the Elohim said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great. Thou shalt be a blessing. I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed, as the Elohim had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came.
Okay. Now, let's find out, where did Abraham come from? Because in this particular chapter, he's not Abraham. He's Aram, right? Now let's back it up to Genesis, the 10th chapter. Read the first verse.
The book of Genesis, chapter 10, we're at verse 1. Now these are the generations of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood.
Okay. Shem is one of the three sons of Noah that Elohim made a bread with. Right?
That's right.
The other two sons was Japheth and Ham. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shem was the oldest. Correct me if I'm wrong, scholars.
You good?
Okay. So from Shem, let's see who descended from Shem. Noah cursed the son of, or the descendants of, or the son of Ham, Canaan, right?
Shalom, brother. Slap. Japheth was the elder brother.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, that's why I said correct me now.
Ham was the middle child. Shem was the baby boy.
Okay, that's why I said correct me. I'm looking for my scholars to correct me. Now, Noah blessed Shem. He blessed Japheth, but he cursed the son of Ham, Canaan.
Yeah, cursed be Canaan.
Okay, he cursed Canaan. All right. So we're going to jump from Genesis the 10th chapter and go to Genesis the 11th chapter. And I want you to read from the 10th through the 11th verses.
This is the book of Genesis. We're at chapter 11, starting verse 10. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters.
Okay. So we see that Shem, the son of Noah, began to beget sons and daughters, right? Okay. Now we're going to drop down in the same chapter, brother. And you're going to read from Genesis, the 13th chapter, the 14th through the 17th verses.
13th chapter, 14th through 17th. We're at the book of Genesis, chapter 13. We're going to be at 14th verse.
Is that mic on, brother?
No. You know, text.
Okay. Turn it up.
Hallelujah.
Turn it up.
13th verse. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Elohim exceeding.
Excuse me.
You said,
Yeah, my bad. I meant to go to Genesis the 11th chapter, the 16th through the 17th verses. Yes.
all right. We're in the book of Genesis 11, chapter 16th verse. And Eber lived 34 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years, and begat sons and daughters.
Okay, same chapter, drop down to the 24th verse and read through the 32nd verse. When we are establishing, we're trying to see where did Abraham descend from.
There you go.
Whose lineage he descend from. Read on.
All right, we're in the 24th verse of the 11th chapter of Genesis. And Nahor lived 9 and 20 years, and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years, and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran.
Who begat Abraham? Terah. Terah begat Abraham. So now we see where Abraham descended from, right?
Hallelujah.
And he begot Nahor and Haran. Read on down to the 32nd verse.
Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram,
Haran died. Haran was the brother of who? Abraham.
Yes. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there.
So Abraham and his lineage is from where? Ur of the Chaldees.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So Terah, the father of Abraham, took his lineage from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. The 32nd verse, brother.
All right. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran.
So Terah, the father of Abraham, died in Haran. And the brother read, and we kicked it off from Genesis, the 12th chapter, that Adonai, or the Most High, appeared to Abraham and told him to what? To remove himself from his country and from his what?
Kindred.
From his what?
And from his father's house.
From his kindred, from his father's house, from that which he was familiar with, from the people that he was familiar with. In other words, brother Larry, to remove yourself from people that you are familiar with. To remove yourself from your comfort zone. To remove yourself, to subtract yourself from people who are not headed in the direction that Yah Elohim is leading you to.
All right.
That speaks volumes. Hello?
Hallelujah. Hey.
That speaks volumes. The Bible said, be not no blood. If you're not headed in a direction that Yah Elohim are helping me get to that direction that Yah Elohim is leading me to, then I must subtract myself and relocate myself. I must subtract myself from you and anybody else and relocate myself with somebody that's headed in a direction that Yah Elohim is leading me to. Now, how would you feel if the Most High told you to leave everything that you are familiar with?
Oh, you mean quarantine?
To remove yourself from people whom you grew up with, from people whom you are familiar with, not just people, but also geographical location.
Yes.
Geographical location, to remove yourself from people, places, and things so that he can lead you to the place that he is destining you to go to. It takes faith to do that, Elder Timothy.
You know, a lot of our people can't do that because they've gotten themselves so attached or so in love with the place that they are, with the people that they with, that they are not willing, right, to relocate. And when we look at Bible prophecy, he is going to have us do that again because he's going to bring judgment on this land, and we're going to have to relocate to a place that we have never known.
Hallelujah.
We're going to have to readjust our lives, learn how to adapt and live according to his law, statutes, and commandments all over again.
Give the elder a hand. And the second verse in Genesis, the second verse, read that again.
32nd verse.
12th chapter of Genesis, the second verse.
Okay. Genesis 12, verse 2. And I will make of thee a great nation.
Now, I won't make of thee a great nation if you don't remove yourself from toxic people. I won't make of you a great nation, and I won't bless thee like I want to bless you until you remove yourself from people who are not in your destiny. Until you remove yourself from people, you understand, who are not equally yoked to you in the destiny that I am destining you to. This is Bible. This is, somebody say, manual instructions.
Manual instruction.
I can hear my grandma say, I'll go if I have to go by myself.
Hey, hallelujah.
I've never lived in such a day and age in my 45 years where I've seen such cowardice men, subdued under the rulership of women and children, unwilling to go without for a due season until Yah Elohim blesses you. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Oh, I know what I'm talking about.
Hallelujah.
But he said, once you remove yourself, once you relocate yourself geographically and relocate yourself also away from some people, once you do that, then I will make your name great. Then I will make you a great nation. But as long as you are strategic, as long as you are where you are now, I can't work with you. I can't make you a great nation. I can't bless you. You understand? But he says, remove yourself, relocate yourself. And he says that if you do that, then I will bless you. And I will bless those who bless you. And I will curse those who curse you.
That's a covenant right there.
And at present, in 2020, the so-called black man and the so-called black woman, who are the biblical descendants of the Israelites, you understand? The reason why the Most High can't bless us like he wants to bless us is because we refuse to relocate ourselves from pagan practices unto keeping the commandments of Elohim. Like Elder Timothy has said. Can you relocate yourself from eating pork, shrimps, and catfish to eating just clean food? Can you relocate yourself from celebrating Halloween, Thanksgiving, and pagan Christmas to keeping the Passover, to keeping the Feast of Unleavened Bread, to keeping the Pentecost, to keeping the memorial, the blowing of the trumpets? Why you always got to cower yourself down to those people that you are surrounded by? That's why the Most High wants to remove you from your surroundings, you understand, because people have a tendency, you understand, to become a product of their environment. That's why that African proverb says it takes a village to raise a child. But if your village is pagan, you're going to be pagan. Let me make it personal. If your surrounding is pagan, then you're going to be pagan. You're going to be pagan. Paul said evil communication corrupts good habit. Are you around somebody that's talking Torah? Are you surrounding yourself around somebody that's talking Torah? Or is it only when we just come to Shabbat that you are surrounded by folk that's talking Torah? Birds of a feather flock together. So we have to see the importance of why Yah Elohim was telling Abraham to remove yourself. I'm sorry, I'm stationary right here. But this is what Elohim want me to be just for a brief moment. Because Elohim can't get some of y'all where you need to be, you understand, because you won't relocate yourself. You won't remove yourself from where you are to where you need to be, so that he can get you to the destiny that he's destined you to be at. I can't get you there. I can't bless you. I can't protect you. I can't get you up under Psalms 91 so that you won't face police brutality. Did I strike a nerve?
No, strike the nerves. Strike.
So I can be your shield and your buckler. I can't get you to Psalms 91 because you will remove yourself. I can't protect you from the police brutality because you keep denying who you are. I don't want to be an Israelite. I don't want to keep the commandments. Okay. Okay, I can't protect the deeds. Now, Abraham is the father of our faith. He's not just the father of our lineage. He's the father of our faith. Because Abraham removed himself. He removed himself by faith. Right? He removed himself by faith, and he started the journey to his destiny.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and it said, read the 4th verse, brother, again. Genesis the 12th chapter.
In the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 4. So Abram departed.
He departed. He relocated himself. Read on.
As the Elohim had spoken unto him.
As he commanded. In other words, he gave him an order. An order is not an option.
So say that again.
An order is not an option. A lot of people don't know when it says 10 commandments. Well, if you've been to the military, that's a commandment is what? It's an order.
You got no order, you got chaos.
I'm not asking you not to commit adultery. I'm not asking you not to lie. I'm not asking you to keep my Shabbat. The Most High said, I order you to. I'm not asking you not to be unequally yoked. He said, I order you not to. It's not what you love that makes a thing right. It's what the scripture says that makes a thing right or wrong. You hear that? It's not what you love that makes a thing right. Like a father tells his daughter, he ain't no good for you. But I love him. Yeah, but your love for him don't make it right.
That's right.
We need more Hebrews to teach like this.
There you go.
We need more Hebrews to teach a rhema word.
There you go.
So Abraham obeyed Yah Elohim.
That's right.
Genesis the 13th chapter. Genesis the 13th chapter. Read the first through the 11 verses, brother.
And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south.
Lot. Remember in the 4th chapter of Genesis, the 12th chapter, remember in the 4th verse of Genesis, the 12th chapter, Abraham took also with him his nephew Lot. He took with him his nephew Lot. Kinfolk. But the Most High told him in the first verse in Genesis the 12th chapter, get thee out of thy country and from thy, or aka kinfolk.
Hallelujah. That's all they say.
But we see in the 4th verse, Abraham did obey Yah partially, but he took one of his kinfolk.
Right.
I'm going to give you that rhema message when we get a little further in this message. So let's go back to Genesis, the 13th chapter. Pick it up where you left off at.
We're in 13th chapter of Genesis in the 2nd verse. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, onto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai. unto the place of the altar, which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of the Elohim. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. There was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle.
There was a what?
There was a strife.
There was a what?
There was a strife.
There was a what?
There was a strife.
There was a what, Dominique?
Strife.
There was a what, Larry?
Strife.
There was a what, Brother Anthony? Strife. Not with strange folk, but with kinfolk. Uh-oh. Read on, brother.
And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, with the 7th verse. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren.
See, I hate to say this, but that's why sometimes you can't even go into business with your own king.
Right.
That's sauce right there.
Read on, brother.
Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left.
Why did strife have to happen in order for Abraham to do what he should have done before he left or departed from his father's house?
He never would have done it. He never would have done it.
So basically, what the scriptures are saying is, if we give them a commandment to do it in totality and don't have continuity.
Well, there's a scripture that supports all of this.
Right.
That if you love mother and father more than you love me,
Give him a hand.
then you will not work with me.
Hallelujah. There it is like this. Hallelujah.
Elder Timothy said, straight from the words of Hamashiach, that if you love mother or father, kinfolk, more than you love me,
He ain't worried.
husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, or anything,
That's right.
you are not worthy of me. So the Most High permitted this strife to happen, you understand? Because see, the thing is that the mistake that a lot of us make is we end up like partially obeying Elohim by, like, I'm going to depart. I'm going to relocate myself from all these people who are not heading in this path with me that you have destined for me. But I'm just going to take this one person.
Nephew.
In other words, I'll put away the rest except this one person.
Nephew. Give up.
So you, and perhaps that's what the scripture means. Perhaps I stand to be corrected where it means you're being lukewarm. You are being, you're partially, you are trying to serve two masters. What I do as you say, but I'm going to take this person with me. But the Most High said, I didn't call that person. I called you.
Hey, I know this big nothing click until he made like we want. Then come together to me.
See, because we attach ourselves, what causes us a lot of grief is that we attach ourselves to things that are not destined for our destiny.
Hallelujah.
That's what causes us a lot of grief. You understand? That's why the scripture says, love not the world. That's why the scripture says, keep thy heart with all diligence.
Yeah.
In other words, guard what you love.
Hallelujah.
Guard what you give your heart to.
Hallelujah. Yes.
A lot of people won't answer my phone calls because they love something evil and not something good.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people will get mad at me and get angry at me because of what they love and not because of this. Because when they see me coming, oh, he's coming with them scriptures and I ain't trying to hear that because I love something else.
Yeah.
Oh, he's calling, I know what he's calling about. I don't want to deal with that right now because I love something else.
Good guy. Good guy is so serious. Yeah.
So the apostles' call will go unanswered.
Apostle,
Yes, sir.
that's why we walk by faith and not by sight.
Hallelujah.
When Yah calls us to do something, we have to have faith in what He's calling us to do and try to understand that thing. If we do not understand it, then we are to go to Him in prayer. But when He gives us specific instructions, we are to follow that specific instructions to the letter.
Man, come on, you took the words right out my mouth. Hallelujah.
Specific, the elder Timothy said we are to follow those instructions
To the letter.
specific in detail
Yes.
to the letter.
Interesting.
Elder Darrell.
But if your call is being announced, you know you always call. Your love being unanswered.
Hallelujah. Pick it up from where you left off at, brother. In Genesis, the 14th chapter, the
13th chapter,
13th chapter,
9th verse.
9th verse, the
Genesis,
1st to the 11th verse. 9th verse.
13th chapter, we're at the 9th verse. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate myself, I pray. Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Elohim destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Elohim, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar.
So the land of Sodom and Gomorrah was once
Fruitful land.
fruitful land, right?
Yeah.
Even as the garden of what?
Even as the garden of the Elohim. Yeah. Like the land of Egypt.
It was a prosperous land.
Fast too.
You can go where Sodom and Gomorrah is right now. Elder Timothy has been over there to Israel. I don't know if he was in that particular area, but that area is still desolate, right?
Right.
Yes.
All the matter of fact, there was a documentary that I watched on it where you can actually take some of the dirt and it just crumbles ash in your hand. So all that many lifetimes ago, when he destroyed that city, whatever was left over from that day when those two cities were destroyed. Now mind you, Sodom and Gomorrah is far apart. They're not together. That's how intense the destruction was, to where to this day you can't even grow anything in that area. Nothing grows in that area.
Israel is that same way.
Hallelujah.
It's still a desolate place. Reason why it looked the way it looked now is because of man-made irrigation.
That's right.
But when you compare it to the day when we were there, it was just like the forest of Africa. It was plenteous,
Yes.
as the scripture says right here, before our eyes right now.
Right.
That it had beautiful trees,
Yes.
forest. I mean, everything that a forest has, it had.
Yeah.
And that's why Lot was appeased to it, because he was attracted to it from his eyes.
Yeah.
He didn't know it was dirtiness in the land.
But he didn't understand what was going on within the land.
Yes.
Right.
And that's why Yah had Abram to leave, because what Yah was trying to do was bring him to a holy place,
That's right.
Right.
not a plentiful place.
That's right.
Sometimes being in a holy place is being in a place where you have to work.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's not pretty. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Pick it up where you was, brother.
And we're at verse 11. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other.
So Lot chose what part?
East.
Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan.
All the
Yes,
ways of
the
Jordan.
east. That's right. Lot journeyed east. He chose Sodom and Gomorrah. He chose that prosperous part that looked like the Garden of Adonai. What is the Garden of Adonai, Elder? Chief Elder? What is that implying, the Garden of Adonai? The Garden of Eden. Sodom and Gomorrah must have looked like the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
That's how beautiful it was. Read on, brother, down to the, I believe, the 11th verse.
Yeah, that was it. Then Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other.
Okay. Drop down to, still in Genesis, the 13th chapter, the 14th through the 17th verses.
And the Elohim said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make
After Lot was separated from him.
So after the cutoff.
Yeah.
After Lot was separated from him, then he said, then the Most High came to him and said, now Abraham.
Now that he out the way.
That's right.
Right now he gone.
Now look what I'm going to give you.
Yeah.
Look what I'm going to give you. Read on, brother. 15, 16.
And I will, Genesis 13, verse 16. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered.
He told Abraham in Genesis 12 chapter that I will bless your seed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why he wanted Abraham to depart with his house,
Yeah.
his wife,
Yes. Yeah. As long as that's your seed. Say it.
from his father's house. So I can make your seed, not Lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why you bring Lot along?
Nephew.
They gonna bring this to you. I said,
But even in that, he had to use that for able to see that, that surface smile. Everybody can't go to you.
That's personal application.
Hallelujah.
Dominique, that's personal application. Who do you have in your life? Who do you have in your life? Who do you have in your life? Say that, examine yourself. Who do you have in your life? In your life. Malachi, who do I have in my life? Believe it or not, I don't have many true friends. I have a lot of associates.
right? There you go.
But a lot of people won't call me because of where I'm on the path that I'm on.
Right?
my destiny for companionship with the wrong one.
Well, as an Israelite.
And I'm talking about, hold up, and I'm implying whether it's a person, place, or a thing. If a particular job will take me out of my path to my destiny, then I'd rather deal with a low-paying job. Hello? If a particular friendship or relationship would take me out of my path to my destiny, then I'd rather be friendless and relationship less. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
It takes courage to do what Elohim has commanded us to do. Now, what you was going to say, brother?
You know, our forefathers gave us perfect examples of how to cut one off in order to be obedient. There's a scripture that say, does it say obedience is better than sacrifice? Most times we have to sacrifice in order to show obedience.
Say it again.
Most times we're going to have to sacrifice in order to show obedience.
Let me pick that up. That's Rhema right there. What are you so busy preoccupying yourself with that you need to sacrifice in order for you to walk in obedience? You understand? We have to be willing to sacrifice in order to walk with Yah. And I'm not talking about no bulls, sheep, and goats either.
No.
Something out of your, this is personal application, something out of your life that you love. That you love. Read on, brother.
Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it.
I'm giving you all of this, Abraham.
For I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Elohim.
So the Most High was simply reminding him of the covenant. Of the covenant. Of the covenant. The covenant that he had made with him in Genesis the 12th chapter, right?
Yeah.
He's saying that I'm going to give this land to you through your seed. I'm going to give it to you through your seed. I'm going to give it to you through your passport. Brother Anthony, your passport to your future is not you, it's your son. Abraham didn't live to see the land in his possession.
There you go. He did.
He did.
It wasn't meant for him to do it, just to let the groundwork.
He sojourned through the land by faith, believing that the land would be given him to his seed. Because they had to go through Egypt to get possession of the land.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Brother Dominique, can you go to my office and get my water, please? Let's see, where did we stop off at, brother?
We're at the 18th verse of chapter 13 in Genesis.
Okay, that's enough from there. Let us now turn our attention to Genesis the 14th chapter. Genesis, the 14th chapter, as we continue to indulge ourselves in the covenant series, part 3. The 11th through the 24th verse. Genesis, the 14th chapter, the 11th through the 24th verse. Thank you.
Have it say, "Con."
Okay.
And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals.
Okay, now it's important that I give you the background before he continued to read Genesis, the 14th chapter, the 11th through the 24th verse. So I would like to continue to solicit your attention. Now, as we know, Lot had chose Sodom and Gomorrah for him and his cattle to dwell, right? Now, the Bible says that Sodom and Gomorrah was a wicked place. The wickedness was exceedingly great, just like America is today. Now, there were some kings who came and overthrew the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah. And they took them and all their wealth and possessions into captivity. And they also took Lot, the nephew of Abraham. Right? So, this is where we are right now. Read on, brother.
Verse 11. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
And they took who?
They took Lot.
They took Lot
and his goods.
And his goods. And we know Lot was a very wealthy man.
Yes.
Abraham was very wealthy. Whoever says that the Bible teaches poverty is wrong. Hello? Abraham was wealthy even without possessing the land as a nation. Hello?
He was only wealthy. Most high blessed. Obedience.
Read on, brother.
And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Adam, and these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan.
Now, once again, Lot is causing me some trouble. This city that he chose.
Problematic. Yeah.
This city that he chose to dwell in. That he picked for himself and his cattle. Now the boy done got himself caught up again.
Can't follow.
Now this is the second time. I wouldn't have had this issue if I would have left Lot and departed from my father's house like I was commanded to do.
To the left.
You see, people who are not destined on the path that Elohim has destined you on, you understand, they will cause you trouble that you could have avoided if you would have left them behind.
Everyone can go where you go.
That's right. So now Abraham, now I got to get my servants and I got to go and see about my nephew. You see that, y'all? The one who you take along with you on your path that you are destined to by Elohim. If you taking someone else who's not destined on your path, you understand, can cause you some trouble that you could have avoided had you wholeheartedly obeyed Yah Elohim, chief elder skills.
Well, there's another instance of that, you know, in 2 Kings, where Elijah kept trying to get away from Elisha because the Most High had something for him to do. He wanted him to go to Jordan and Jericho and all that, but Elisha just kept insisting on hanging with him, and the only way the Most High could separate him, he just sent that chariot in between them to separate, because Elijah wasn't getting the message.
Right.
That wasn't his job.
Elisha. Yeah.
Elisha.
Yeah, Elisha. Yeah.
Yes, but that's the only way he could get away from the Most High. Okay, I'm going to put this chariot in between y'all because I got something for Elijah to do.
Get the other hand. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
The Most High, He allows circumstances to take place. He authorizes circumstances to take place in order to separate you from that which shouldn't be a part of you. And listen, it's best that you separate yourself from it. Because if He have to do it, sometimes it ain't always pretty.
No. Hallelujah.
Where did you stop at?
Verse 15.
Okay, read on, brother.
Everybody there? Verse 15.
Yes.
And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him, at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dead. And Melchizedek, king of Salem.
Who?
Melchizedek, king of Salem,
Read on.
brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High Yah.
You mean they had a priest of the Most High Elohim before the Leviticus priesthood? Remember this, Brother Larry. There was a priesthood that existed before the Leviticus priesthood. Remember this, Facebook viewers, YouTubers. There was a priesthood before the Leviticus priesthood.
Verse 19.
And let me say this, Hamashiach didn't come of the Leviticus priesthood. Hamashiach came of the order of Melchizedek. Hallelujah. Because Hamashiach, what tribe did Hamashiach, whom the world called Christ, come from?
Tribe of Judah.
The tribe of Judah. But the law says the priest should come from what? The tribe of Levi, right? So this is a higher order of the priesthood right here. And this is the order that we are right back up under Hamashiach. You understand? Pick up where you left off at, brother.
Verse 19. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High Yah, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High Yah, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all.
Gave him what?
Tithes of all.
Gave him what?
Tithes of all.
Now wait a minute.
What's up?
This is before the law.
Yeah.
Hebrews. Well, the tithes are crops and stuff. But wait a minute. What did he get from the great slaughter? He got all types of goods. It wasn't all just food.
Nah.
Gold, silver, fine apparel. Whatever he got, he gave him a 10% of that. So you Hebrews talk about you don't have to give no tithes, or that the tithes were just some grain or some crop. You don't know what you're talking about. Tithes can be anything. Tithing can be anything. Whatever he got from that slaughter, gold, silver, fine apparel, whatever, or crop, whatever he captured, he gave a tenth of that thing to Melchizedek. That's the scripture. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because you see some Sunday churches misusing and abusing the scriptures in Malachi. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Read on, brother.
And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, we're in the 21st verse of the 14th chapter of Genesis. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Elohim, the Most High Yah, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread even to a shoelet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion.
All right. Now, let's go to Genesis the 15th chapter. The next chapter over, the first through the 7th verse, and I will read that, brother. After these things, the word of Adonai came unto Abram in a vision, saying, what? Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Second verse, and Abram said, Adonai, Elohim, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless? In other words, he understood the covenant that Elohim made with him, that he would bless his seed. But he was at that particular time seedless, right? And we can recall what Paul wrote in Romans the 8th chapter, where he says, Elohim called those things that be not as if they were. So when Elohim made the breach with Abram, he was not looking at his present circumstance. He was prophesying and making a covenant with his destiny, with his future. Elohim, his word is futuristic. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Futuristic, which implies of the future. His word is, Elohim's word is prophecy. Whenever he speaks, it's a prophecy. Whenever Elohim speaks, it's a prophecy. Whatever he says, it shall come to what? It shall come to pass. When he speaks, it shall come to pass. Though it tarry, it shall come to pass. So whenever he speaks, it's prophecy. Okay, so the second verse, Abraham said, Elohim, look, I'm childless, and I have my servant here. Is it going to him? In the fourth verse, and the word of Elohim came unto him, saying, this shall not be thy heir. But he that shall come forth out of thy own bowels shall be thy heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now towards heaven and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And although he was childless, the 6th verse says, and he believed in Elohim, and he counted it to him for what? Righteousness. So although at present he was childless, he counted what Elohim said as to be true. Although I'm childless, although my wife is barren, I'm going to account what he says to be true, that it shall come to pass. The 7th verse, and he said unto him, I am Adonai, that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give thee this land to what? Inherit it. He's reminded him of the covenant. Let's go to Genesis, the 16th chapter. You can pick it up, brother. The 1st through the 11th verses.
The book of Genesis, chapter 16, we'll start at verse 1. When you there, say Cain.
Cain.
Now Sarah, Abram's wife, bare him no children. She had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, behold, now the Elohim hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai.
Now listen, if Elohim told Abraham that your seed shall not come from your servant, then why is it that Sarah is going to induce her husband by saying, perhaps the Most High is going to bless us with a seed through my servant? You know, she should have thought to herself, well, if the Most High is told my husband that the seed won't come through his servant, then surely the seed won't come through my handmaid. Y'all see that? Read on, brother.
Verse 3. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar. She conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, my wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes.
In other words, you can put someone that's not destined to do what you're destined to do. You can't put someone else in your place.
That ain't their calling.
It wasn't Hagar's calling to bear the seed of Abraham that would be an heir to the land. You understand? She put someone else in her place to do what only Elohim had destined her to do in her place. Read on.
But Abram said unto Sarai, behold, thy maid is in thy hand, do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. And the angel of the Elohim found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou, and whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Elohim said unto her, return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Elohim said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Elohim said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Elohim hath heard thy affliction.
Okay. So the Most High had mercy on her, you understand, because of Abraham. You understand? Now, from there, let's go to Genesis the 17th chapter. Starting from I'll kick it off from the first verse. And when Abraham was 90 years old and 9, Elohim appeared to Abraham and said unto him, I am the Almighty Elohim. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my what?
Covenant.
My covenant, my breath between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abraham fell on his face, and Elohim talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with who? With thee. And thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name be anymore be called Abraham, but thy name shall be called Abraham. You see the name change?
Yes.
For a father of many nations have I made thee. The 6th verse, and I will make thee exceedingly fruitful.
Right.
I will make thee exceedingly fruitful. Who else did he tell to be fruitful? Adam and Eve. Who else did he tell to be fruitful? Noah and his son, right? So we see this fruitfulness again, right? Be fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will what? Establish my what? Covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting what?
Covenant.
For a perpetual covenant that will not end, to be a Elohim unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. So he made an everlasting covenant with Abraham, right?
Right. And his seed.
And his seed. Hallelujah. Drop down to the 19th verse. Same chapter. Genesis the 17th chapter. And Elohim said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. Now y'all see that? 20th verse. As for Ishmael, I have heard thee, because Abraham prayed for his son Ishmael by his wife handmaid. He said, I've heard thee concerning him. I will bless him, and I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. The 21st verse read, Brother Emanon.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
Read that again.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
Read that again.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
One more time.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
He make a distinction between Isaac and Ishmael.
The one in the mystery.
Isaac is the one who I will make my covenant with. You understand?
A lot of nations are
See,
still mad at us today behind that.
when we get in the way of what Elohim has destined for us, you understand, then we end up making a mess. Because later on, Sarah will see that there was some friction going on between Ishmael and who? Isaac. You understand? And her handmaid, when she conceived, she became despised in the eyes of Sarah, right? Well, Sarah, you brought that friction on. A lot of this stuff we brought up on ourselves. We brought it up on ourselves. And the personal application for this covenant series, part 3, you understand? The personal application that you need to apply in your personal life is that you can't take toxic folks along with you who are not destined in your path that Elohim has destined for you. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And at that, to the conclusion of the matter, next week we will continue this, the last portion of this covenant with Abraham in part 4. I hope you all are enjoying the series. But here's the conclusion of the matter. The writing of many books, there is no end. Much study is wisdom to the mind. Here's the conclusion of the matter. Fear Yah and keep His commandments. I love you all.